Happy Vlogmas book friends. I'm Jen and welcome back to my holiday reading life. Now I have already shared the books that I am looking forward to reading in December, and today I am here to share some books I have already read and that I recommend that you pick up for holiday reading. So today I am here to share 12 cozy Christmas reads. They run a range of genres from fiction to nonfiction, mysteries to middle grade. I think there is a little something here for everyone. Grab yourself a warm cuppa and maybe a holiday treat, and I am going to get into the festive reads that I think are perfect for the holiday season. I'm going to start us off with some fiction picks, and my first pick is for those of you who are fans of authors like Rosamund Pilcher and Maeve Binchy, and this book is a wonderful seasonal read, and that is A Week in Winter by Marcia Willett. This was the first Marcia Willett book that I ever read, and it absolutely made me fall in love with her writing. And this is just so seasonal and cozy, and there's a little bit of drama and tension, but you can rest assured that everything will turn out all right in the end. We are going to spend time in Cornwall for a week in winter, as the title states. And this story centers around a farmhouse called Moorgate, which is being put up for sale by a widowed woman, and her stepdaughter and a young contractor and another woman are all vying for possibly purchasing this farmhouse. And as this goes along, we have some secrets that come to light. We have some romance that might be happening. And this is truly just a wonderful, seasonal, domestic, charming read, and I highly recommend it. I read this many decades ago and I have reread it since, and it's one I just always think of whenever I think of seasonal December reading. This is the first book that pops into my mind. Now, do be warned, there is a book by Maeve Binchy also titled A Week in Winter, and that is another fantastic read. Bonus pick for you all. But I just want to make sure that if you are interested in this book, do be sure that you're picking up the book by Marcia Willett, though I also recommend the one by Maeve Binchy as well. It is equally wonderful. And while A Week in Winter is set in relatively contemporary times, this next book is going to take us back to 1930s England, and this is the start of a fantastic series, and this is the book that made me fall in love with this author, and that is High Rising by Angela Thirkell. And in this, we follow Laura Morland and her son Tony as they head off to their country home in High Rising for the holiday season. And we are just going to follow along with their domestic lives, with the lives of the other people who live in the village, friends, and other family members. And this is so cozy and charming and absolutely made me fall in love with Angela Thirkell and just want to keep reading through her Barsetshire series. I think you'll feel the same if you haven't read this yet. It is so seasonal and perfect for December. This book reminds me of those sort of classic MGM movies that were put out in the 30s and 40s, little bit of a screwball comedy. There is lots of sort of love entanglements, or someone wants to be involved with someone else, but they're not a very likable character, and it's just a lot of fun. I love Laura Morland as a character, and this is a great introduction to this series. If you're looking for something just light and uplifting for the Christmas season, then definitely pick up High Rising. And if you enjoy this one, then definitely pick up Christmas at High Rising, another bonus pick. This is a series of short stories, again, set in the same world with Laura Morland and her friends and family. And this was charming and funny, and it is a great accompaniment to High Rising, though definitely read High Rising first. But you really can't go wrong with either of these. They are perfect for December. And speaking of short stories, I have another short story collection that I definitely recommend, and that is Stories for Christmas and the Festive Season. This is part of the British Library Women Writers series, and it contains short stories by Muriel Spark, Stella Gibbons, E.M. Delafield, many others, Rachel Crompton, Kathleen Norris, Elizabeth von Arnim. This is a fantastic collection of stories set during the holiday season. As with all short story collections, you'll probably love some of the stories in here and maybe only like some of the others, but I definitely think they are all worth a read. And if you want something that's not as much of a time commitment, just something you can kind of dip in and out of during this busy time of year, then I think short stories are wonderful to pick up. They're one of my favorite things to read during the holiday season, and I read this 2 Christmases ago, and it was perfect for picking up right before bed when I was very tired and only wanted to read a few pages. And I thoroughly enjoyed this. Now, I don't know about you, but as a general rule, I am not a fan of books that are written after a movie comes out and becomes a huge success, and then somebody writes a book based on the screenplay. I often find they fall really flat for me, and the movie is always better, but I have one very notable exception to this, and I was so surprised by this little book, but there's a reason why I think this one actually works. And that book is Miracle on 34th Street by Valentine Davies. And I'm going to read you just a little excerpt from the introduction, or actually it's the author's note. It says, like everything else about Mr. Kringle, his appearance in book form does not follow any accepted pattern. Instead of appearing first on the printed page and then making his bow upon the screen, Mr. Kringle completely reversed the procedure. His singular personality and the chain reaction which it started originally took shape in my mind as a motion picture story. It was only after he had come to life upon the screen that he was invited to appear within the covers of a book. And so this book is based upon the movie Miracle on 34th Street. But I think what really helps is that Valentine Davies originally wrote the screenplay for Miracle on 34th Street and then adapted it into this lovely little novella. I read this a few Christmases ago and it was so delightful. It inspired exactly the feelings in me that I get when I watch the original Miracle on 34th Street movie. And it was just so lovely to read it on the written page. And I just thoroughly love this story, everything about it. It is so heartwarming and Christmassy, and just like the spirit of giving and generosity and kindness. I just love everything that the movie and this book stands for. And if you've never read this book, I definitely recommend picking it up. I love this beautiful little edition that I have, this little hardcover, and I can't recommend this enough. It is perfect. Again, this would be a lovely little book to just sit down with a hot beverage and a holiday treat and just read through this. It's very short, but it's so charming, exactly like the movie is. And then after you read this, go watch the original movie. I think that would be a lovely holiday pairing. And my final fiction recommendation for you is actually a book I haven't finished reading yet. I just got it in the mail the other day. It is a relatively new release, and I was so excited when I heard it was coming out that I had to get it for myself. And I immediately dove into it as soon as I opened it up. And it is exactly as charming as I was hoping it would be. And so I'm going to recommend it to you all, even though I haven't finished it, but I will be finishing it in the next day or so, and I think you guys will love this book too. And that is The Christmas Tree That Loved to Dance, A Tall Tale by Miranda Hart. And if you think the name Miranda Hart sounds familiar, it is because she is from Call the Midwife. She played Chummy on Call the Midwife. She also had her own TV series in England called Miranda, which I haven't watched yet, but I really want to. I've seen clips of it. It looks very funny. I just love her so much. I read her memoir, the name of which I'm blanking on at the moment, but I will put a picture of the book right here for you guys. I read that earlier this year and just really even fell in love with her even more. She is so lovely. She's gone through some really difficult things with her physical health. And yes, so this book I had to pick up. I'm just going to read you what she wrote on the back because it's so charming. Hello to you. I have written a short story, or tall tale as I like to call it, because I believe we all deserve moments to cozy up with something simple yet joy-filled and uplifting, if I may be so bold about my own tale. It contains, amongst many thrills I couldn't possibly divulge yet, intriguing and exciting mishaps between a Christmas tree that not only talks, but dances, I know, a dog called Jessie who also talks, and a woman called Joan who, less surprisingly in that she is a human being, talks too. Interested? I should blooming well hope so. Right, let me tell you all about it. I'm enjoying this so very much. It is so lovely. It is illustrated by Lucy Claire Dunbar, and let me show you one of the illustrations because they are so very charming. So sweet. I just love this. Again, I think this would make a lovely Christmas gift. This is not a children's book. It's definitely a story for adults. It's about 150 pages, but there aren't a lot of words on the page. And again, there's lots of pictures and things, so it's quite short. I'm going to probably finish it today. I started it yesterday, and it is just so lovely. I think if you just want something really heartwarming, this is the book you want to pick up. I also would recommend this as a gift, either to yourself or someone else this Christmas season, but I'm so happy that I picked this one up, and I can't wait to finish it. It is delightful, but I think you would all love it too, and that's why I'm recommending it here today. Next up is the one nonfiction recommendation I have for you, and this is for all of the cat lovers out there. And I'm going to recommend to you The Cat Who Came for Christmas by Cleveland Amory. This is such a lovely story. It is perfect for the holiday season because even though it traverses an entire year, it begins and ends at Christmas. And this is the tale of Cleveland Amory, who discovers this very bedraggled cat, I believe in an alleyway near his apartment building, and takes the cat in because it's cold and wet, and I think it's snowing outside when he finds the cat, and it just is so perfect for describing how cats own their humans. And if you have had a cat in your life, you know that they own you, not the other way around. And Cleveland Amory just is very funny, very witty, and this is just chock full of cat lover anecdotes, and I really enjoyed this. I think it makes a great holiday read. I mean, it really makes a great read any time of the year if you're a cat lover, but particularly at Christmas. Like I said, it is bookended by 2 Christmas seasons, so if you're a fan of cats, definitely give this one a read. Next up, I have a few middle grade book recommendations for the holiday season. And I think middle grade is lovely for this time of year because, again, when it feels very busy and hectic during the holiday season, I think middle grade is easy to slip into and get immediately drawn into the story, and they don't take very long to read. And so if you're just looking for something sweet and lovely and relatively simple, then I think middle grade is a great option for this time of year. And the first book that I'm going to recommend is actually a sequel to a beloved children's classic, and that is The Willows in Winter by William Horwood. And this is, of course, a sequel to The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. And this was such a delightful surprise when I read this. I actually listened to the audiobook, which I highly recommend. The audiobook is fantastic. But if you love mole, rat, toad, and badger, and you'd like to spend some time with them this holiday season, I'd actually recommend reading The Wind in the Willows and then following it up with The Willows in Winter. I think that would be 2 lovely companion books to read together. And that was how I read them, actually. I read The Wind in the Willows, or reread it actually for the I don't know how manyth time, and then picked this book up, and it was perfect. So lovely. Now, I know William Horwood has also written some other companion books to The Wind in the Willows, and I believe there is one called The Willows at Christmas. I think that's the title. I'll put a picture of it here on the screen for you. And I've heard some mixed things about it. So if anyone has read it, can you let me know if it's worth reading or not? Because some people have said they didn't really love it and that they loved The Willows in Winter. So I've been a little trepidatious about picking it up, but I highly recommend The Willows in Winter. If you're a Wind in the Willows fan, do not miss this one. And next up is a middle grade book that is actually the start of a series, but this can be read just as a standalone, and it is lovely. I think it is somewhat of a children's classic, though maybe a little bit lesser known, and should be more widely known because it's wonderful. And that is The Children of Green Know by L.M. Boston. And this is the story of Tolly, and he is going to spend the Christmas holidays with his great-grandmother, yes, great-grandmother Old Know at Green Know. And while he is there, he discovers that there are the ghosts of 3 children who live in Green Know and make themselves known to him. And we follow along with Tolly through all kinds of adventures, and it is so perfectly seasonal, and it's wintry and Christmassy. And if that is what you are in the mood for, a little bit of ghostliness. I don't know why ghosts and Christmas go together, but ever since A Christmas Carol, they really have. And I think that it is played out perfectly in this book, and I cannot recommend it enough. I have read it twice. I actually read it twice last year because we read this in December for the Cozy Reader Book Club, and it was such a wonderful pick. We had a lovely discussion of it, and this is another book that I think is wonderful on audio. So if you'd like an audiobook to read during December, then definitely give The Children of Green Know a listen. And then my final book that I have put into this middle grade category, but isn't really a middle grade book. It's more of a slightly younger reader children's book, but it is my most beloved Christmas book of all time. I have the most warmest, fondest memories of this book, and I'm going to tell you a little story about it in just a moment. But that book is The Story of Holly and Ivy by Rumer Godden. Now, this book, this edition that I'm holding right here, this was the edition that I had and read from as a child. And then somewhere along the way, it, got given away, sadly, as many of my childhood books did. And then a few years ago, a friend of mine who sells books through an Instagram account was going to be selling a copy of this book. And you needed to get on, as soon as the book went live, and then you could claim it and she would send it to you. And I had told her I was interested in it, and I was sitting with Instagram open in front of me, refreshing it, waiting for this book to come available, and I missed it by 2 seconds. 2 seconds I missed out on getting this book, and I was just crushed. And so I messaged the seller, and then I also had left a comment on the post saying how I had really hoped to get this one. It is a childhood favorite of mine, and I really wanted this specific edition. And the lovely person who actually won getting this book let it go and let me have it instead. And it was the kindest, loveliest gesture that just thoroughly warmed my heart and made that Christmas so, so lovely. And I have reread this book every Christmas since. It is the most wonderful story about a young orphan girl and a doll and them coming together. And I can't tell you how much this story warms my heart. It just says on the back, "Here's a story about wishing. Ivy is a little orphan who has no one to be with on Christmas Eve, so she wishes very hard. Holly is the doll left all alone in the toy shop on Christmas Eve, so she wishes very hard too. What do they wish for? Will their wishes come true?" And you'll have to read the story to find out. If you can't tell by the smile on my face, I adore this book. It is just the sweetest, most charming, lovely, fantastic, beautiful story. I love these sort of red and green illustrations in this edition. There is a newer edition of this, which I will link down below. This edition isn't in print, and it's very hard to track down, as you can tell by my story. But if you can get your hands on this, any edition at all, or through your library, please pick this up and read it. I promise you it will lift your spirits and give you hope. And it's truly a story of what Christmas is all about. And finally, I have some holiday mystery recommendations for you. And for these, I have selected some very classic British mysteries for you, and a few that I don't often hear talked about, but that I think are well worth reading. And the first is Envious Casca by Georgette Heyer. This is also titled A Christmas Party, and I think these days, if you're looking for it, that's the title you want to be looking for. But it was originally published as Envious Casca, which was how I read it quite a number of years ago now. This is a quintessential English country house murder. In this, we have a collection of guests who are gathered together at an English manor house over the holiday season. And of course, there is a Scrooge-like old man who owns the house. And what else do we expect but that he gets himself murdered, and all of the guests at the house are suspects. And so in comes Inspector Hemingway. He is Georgette Heyer's recurring inspector that occurs in a number of her mysteries that she wrote. And he is just wonderful. And so, of course, he has to come in and figure out who done it and what happened and why. Now, I will say that I figured out who done it fairly early in this mystery, but I didn't figure out how. And so that kept me turning the pages. I definitely recommend this one, especially if you're a fan of the likes of Agatha Christie, Dorothy L. Sayers, Marjorie Allingham. Definitely read Georgette Heyer's mysteries, and this one is perfect for the holiday season. Next up is another English country house murder mystery, and that is The Santa Claus Murder by Mavis Doriel Hay. In this, we have the Melbury family. They are gathered at their country home for the holidays. And of course, the patriarch is killed, and then he is found by somebody dressed up like Santa Claus. And of course, all of the family members come under suspicion, and we go along for the ride to find out who done it, why, and how. And I absolutely loved this mystery. I thought it was very clever, very cozy. And if you are in the mood for this, the British Library Crime Classics, they put out such fantastic holiday mysteries every year. There are quite a few out there, and I've read a number of them, and this one is one of my very favorites. So I definitely recommend giving this a read if you're looking for a mystery this holiday season. And my final mystery selection is a collection of short stories. You know, as I mentioned earlier, I think short stories are perfect for this time of year, and this collection that I'm going to recommend to you is one of my very favorite mystery short story collections. And I have read quite a few of them, but this one is, I think, the cream of the crop, and it is Murder at Christmas. This is 10 tales of classic crime stories for the festive season, and this is compiled by Cecily Gayford. And in this, we have stories by Marjorie Allingham, Ellis Peters, Dorothy L. Sayers, Julian Simmons, Michael Innes, Edmund Crispin, Nicholas Blake, and more. And I thought there was not a dud story in this collection, and I thoroughly enjoyed every single story. There were a few that were standouts for me. The Asham by Michael Innes, A Scandal in Winter by Gillian Linscott, and Twixt the Cup and the Lip by Julian Simmons were three of my favorites in this collection, but I thought they were all fabulous. Again, this makes for a wonderful book to dip in and out of during the holiday season. And if you like mysteries, especially classic British mysteries, then definitely give Murder at Christmas a read. And that will wrap up my 12 cozy Christmas books that I recommend for holiday reading. I would love to chat with you down in the comments. Did any of these sound intriguing to you? Are you going to pick up any of them and read them this holiday season, or put them on your TBR for next holiday season? And what are some of your favorite holiday reads that you recommend? I would love to chat all things Christmas and holiday books down in the comments below. And if you're here but you don't have anything you'd like to add, but you'd like to let me know that you were here, because comments really do help my channel, leave me a wintry emoji, snow, a snowman, something wintry and cozy, and leave those emojis. I do love seeing them and knowing you were here. And like I said, they really do help my channel, as do likes and now hypes, which YouTube also has instituted. So if you see that little button on your mobile app down below where you can hit that like button, If you'd like to hype my video, I would so appreciate it. You can do that within the first 7 days that the video is live. And hypes just give small creators like myself a little extra boost so that my videos get pushed out to more people, and I so appreciate that. And if you're here and you would like to see more cozy videos like this and lots more Vlogmas content where this came from, I have videos coming out every weekday from now until December 24th. So I would love for you to subscribe and come along with me for lots of cozy Vlogmas videos. And thank you all so much for being here and taking time out of your day to spend it with me in my cozy holiday corner of BookTube. And as always, I'll be back with another video tomorrow. Happy holidays, book friends.